Hi, I'm Bryan Luoma. I'm the CEO of Tahche and the host of the Philippine Business Playbook podcast. Today we have a special treat for you, an interview I did with Professor Ang of Ateneo University in Manila. Professor Ang is a esteemed professor of economics that actually does some guidance for the Philippines government on workforce and the economy. And in this episode, we get into a little bit of the history of the BPO industry, the advantages and some of the drawbacks, and about the current state of the BPO industry and the gig economy and platforms like Upwork and onlinejobs.ph, and how Tahche fits in that and how we're improving that for the Philippines economy. So I'm excited for you guys to hear this, and let's get right into it. Philippines has proven itself with their attention to education, their English language skills, the Western culture that they have.
The BPO sector has been in the Philippines for about 2 decades now, starting in about 2000 and picking up from 2005 onwards. And over the years, gradually increasing its contribution to the economy.
Tahche provides staffing for U.S. companies, small and medium-sized companies, in a variety of professional areas: engineering, architectural, marketing, legal, software development, really the whole gamut.
You need a large-scale operation to start big FDI levels to come to the Philippines. But in the case of Tahche, you come up with an opportunity to work with them, and everything is already set up in that sense.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this interview, where we will explore the intersection of the Philippines business process outsourcing industry, online job searching platforms, and the innovative initiative spearheaded by Tahche Outsourcing Services Incorporated. Our guests, we have Tahche President and CEO, Mr. Bryan Luoma, and Dr. Alvin Ang, a known economic professor in Ateneo de Manila University. These gentlemen bring a wealth of expertise and experience in this field, making them ideal guides for our discussion. Gentlemen, good day to you.
Good day.
All right, let's start with you, Professor Ang. Prof, Ang, can you explain to us the positive effects of the BPO industry has had on the Philippines and its workforce?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Actually, the BPO sector has been in the Philippines for about 2 decades now, starting in about 2000 and picking up from 2005 onwards. And over the years, gradually increasing its contribution to the economy. In fact, this year, we are expecting that the complete contribution would be about $30 billion. And that's very close now to the total OFW remittances of about $35 billion. And the BPO sector employs about 1.5 million people. So that's how large and big the contribution of the BPO sector to the economy.
Well, that's very impressive. And given those advantages that you've mentioned, that the BPO industry is contributing a lot to the economy, why do you think, Professor Ang, that some people have that tendency to look down on people who work in the BPO industry?
So primarily the challenges there is the understanding or the observation that the BPO sector work is the time difference of the BPO sector where they are working with. If it's in another country, 12-hour difference. So it's a quality of life challenge. And also, I think the bigger challenge there is basically many of the workers in the BPO sector are working as professionals, but not in the specific field where they graduated in when they were in college, right? So, for example, a graduate of business might be working in the BPO sector as a call center agent, where they think that the type of work does not require that high level of a training.
Follow up to that, Professor Ang, and also Brian, if you could add, is compensation an issue why more Filipinos are going in that direction, going to the BPO industry? Is that because they can earn more when they work in that industry, particularly BPO?
Well, that's one of the things that attracts many workers to work there rather than in the local companies where they can find jobs related to what they completed during their studies. So they're usually paid double or triple that their normal rate if they work in their industry where they graduated.
Okay. All right. So I would like to go to now to you, Bryan. So Bryan, how do you think Philippines play globally in terms of being competitive, particularly with the support of Tahche Outsourcing Services Incorporated, Philippines as an outsourcing destination in a global scale? How competitive are we?
Philippines has proven itself with their attention to education, their English language skills, the Western culture that they have. We talk to our clients. They've all understand the reputation of the Filipino people. And so there's really is a interest in tapping that market.
What about you, Professor Ang? How do you think Philippines play in that landscape globally?
Well, just like what Bryan already mentioned, it's really the advantage of having a higher level of education, the connectivity to the Western culture, and more importantly, I guess, and it remains even if it's declining, is the ability to speak English as a third largest speaker of English in the world.
We are good at English, Filipinos. Professor, and what do you think are the notable changes in the landscape of outsourcing, particularly here in the Philippines? And how has these changes impacted the trajectory of the economic growth in the country?
Right. Well, actually, the economic growth of the country has been helped by the BPO growth in the last 2 decades. But recently, the obvious changes were being observed in the introduction of AI, in not only in the BPO sector, but in almost all facets of the economy. That this makes the contact and call centers threatened by AI. They can be replaced by AI. So this is where the Philippine government and the Association of Contact Centers are really thinking about it. How are you going to remove or to improve the contact centers, call centers, BPOs in general, in this challenge created by AI, since this could lower the future potential contribution of the BPO sector?
Sir Bryan, what do you think are the notable changes in this landscape of outsourcing?
I think that the globe is always evolving, and the Philippines has benefited from that, from the high-speed internet and call centers and everything else that really improved that. And I think that as advancements come forward, it's only going to help the Philippines as well, because I think what it does is it levels a playing field in the globe. So as AI comes about, it may have a negative effect on call centers, but what it's also going to do, it's going to make the Philippines more competitive with the US and the rest of the world in all the rest of the jobs. And I really think that's a positive thing for the Philippines as they transition away from call centers and these types of roles that I think are really kind of beneath the Filipino worker. It'll allow the bottom rung, if you will, of the Filipino worker to be raised even higher. And that's going to make them more competitive in the global market. And so I'm really excited about AI. I think that it's going to allow more Filipinos to compete on an even playing field with America and the Western world. Just like high-speed internet did, computers, software development, all that stuff has helped level the playing field. And I think this will just do the same thing.
Okay, talking more about AI, because people have that connotation that I might lose my job because of AI. What do you think? Is that a valid, a valid observation from the labor workers, particularly, for instance, for Filipinos?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, I don't think anyone's going to lose their job to AI in the near term, but I think people will lose their jobs to people who use the AI, use it as a tool. And so if you're not learning about AI, if you're not interested in it, you might have some difficulty. But even now, with our team, I'm really encouraging them to dig into it, to play around with it, go on ChatGPT and do some prompt engineering and inquiries. And so we've already started to embrace it. And I know a lot of other people as well. Our clients are asking for people that are familiar with it. And so I would really encourage people to embrace it and become a master of it. And if you are, you're gonna be ahead of the curve just like every other technological advancement that's happened.
Okay. There are online platforms available out there. Could you elaborate, Professor Ang, on how these online platforms contribute to labor market flexibility and address concerns regarding job security and benefits for workers in this one?
Yeah, well, the traditional concept and understanding of the online platform for jobs is that basically they provide opportunities that people can look for jobs anywhere in the world. And so this is an advantage that, you can stay in the Philippines and get those jobs and continue working without having to move out of the country and get a better pay. While that is a big positive, and it allows you also to connect with other people and learn business techniques, management techniques in other countries, it is kind of limited in the sense that most of these are in the context of the gig economy. Gig meaning is like a one-off contract, and then there is no employer-employee relationship in most cases. And so after the contract is finished, then you have to look for another one. While most young generation would love to do this, at some point in time, there has to be some kind of job security, job certainty, and levels of going up in a particular organization where they are working.
Coming from that, Sir Bryan, speaking about online platforms, how does Tahche differentiate itself from popular online job searching platforms today?
Well, as the professor said, everyone is excited about these gig type jobs when they came out 10 years ago with these online platforms. And it really has been an entryway for a lot of small and medium-sized companies in the US to learn about the quality of the skills in the Philippines. But what we've learned over the years is that loose relationship, that contract or gig relationship between the employers and employees is not good for not only the employees, which seems kind of obvious, but also the employers. When I speak to other business owners in the US, they often talk about how they're always afraid that their employee or their gig worker or contractor is going to leave them at any time. They always have concerns about are they working with more than one company? Are they moonlighting? And so those types of relationships are not good for the employer as well as the employee, as the professor said. And so I think very quickly we're trying to figure out how can you utilize technology, but go back to what we had originally had, which is real employment with employment agreements and health care and health insurance and time off and maternity leave and bereavement leave, all these great things that the Philippine government mandates for their employees. We've allowed tech companies to sidestep that, and we need to get that back in line. And so Tahche is really creating a platform where that can happen and where we can have the best of both worlds of technology bringing people together, but of having legit, real employment. And that's what we want for the future of the Philippines.
Because without employer and employee relationship, I can only imagine the cost because of turnover of employees, because employees will leave their employers. And that's really a headache for the employers, especially in the US market. And you've highlighted the benefits that the Filipinos deserve to get. And that could be done through your company. All right, Professor Ang, to what extent has the presence of platforms like Tahche attracted foreign direct investments to the Philippines? And how has this impacted the country's economic landscape?
Well, actually, Tahche is quite unique in that sense that the foreign direct investments that is coming is different from the usual attraction to start businesses here. You need a large-scale operation to start big FDI levels to come to the Philippines. But in the case of Tahche, you come up with an opportunity to work with them, and everything is already set up in that sense, so that the facility to get into foreign investment requirements, registering and all of these permits and all of this government regulation takes time.
Yeah,
it takes and it will cost a lot as well. So Tahche is opening an opportunity for all of this to be done in a short and swift manner without losing the ultimate objective of investing in them.
Can you give more details about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really, I see the market expanding to include small and medium-sized businesses in the U.S. that want to hire 1 to 5 people, 5 to 10 people, maybe 20 people. But if you're starting a office of that size in the Philippines, it's very difficult to do that if you don't have some direct connections in the Philippines. And so, getting the business permits, finding the real estate, getting the legal help, paying your taxes, paying the employee-related taxes, that's very difficult. And so what we want to do is create a platform that allows these small and medium-sized businesses that want to open offices in the Philippines, allows them to do that by shepherding through that process so that all the employee-related taxes are paid. Everyone's following the rules as the Philippines government requires. And really the country gains all of those benefits. Right now with onlinejobs.ph and Upwork and all these other relationships where it's a gig economy or a contract economy, a good portion of those employees aren't paying their taxes, unfortunately, which means that they don't get all the benefits associated with that and Social Security and healthcare and other types of stuff that we talked about. But bringing everyone into the fold of legally working, if you will, allows the government to do the things that they need to do. And so we've always been a big proponent of that. Tahche has won awards for following the rules, if you will. And we're very proud of that. And I think that's better for the Filipino people. I think it's better for our clients. And I think it's better for the country as a whole.
And you are helping as well the economy grow here in the Philippines with that. All right, Sir Bryan, we heard that you'll soon be launching a Tahche app. How is Tahche poised to improve the online job searching platform experience for both businesses and applicants that will use it?
Well, we've been in business since 2011 and kind of doing everything that we talked about today with just boots on the ground, the hard way, if you will. And what we want to do is expand our services to the masses, focus mainly in the U.S. right now, but to bring it the technology advances that we've seen in all the online jobs platforms, where the employer in the U.S. can search a database of employees and they can select the ones that they would like, set up interviews, interview them, select the employee that they like, and then bring them on board. That's the process that our clients are used to utilizing these online job platforms, and we want to give that to them. But we want to do it in a way that allows for a strong employee-employer relationship, where there's an employment agreement, where there's taxes being paid, where all of the benefits that an employee is afforded by the Philippines government happens, where they get bereavement leave and maternity leave and holiday pay and 13th-month pay and additional health care, and they're in the Social Security system and everything else. The Philippines really does have a wonderful safety net, and we want to bring that back to employees. But utilize all the good things that technology has. And so that's what we're trying to do with this app. And I'm very excited for it to be launched and can't wait to show it to not only the Philippines, but the US as well.
We'll look forward as well to the launch of that app. From an economic standpoint, how do you think companies like Tahche Outsourcing Services Incorporated contribute to the reduction of unemployment rate and underemployment in the Philippines?
Well, just like what Bryan mentioned, the opportunity is there to increase the access of ordinary people for jobs that are really available in the Philippines. It's related to what they have finished, their profession, and what they like to do. So what is important in this kind of proposal or mandate that the government wants to do is that Tahche is already providing for this platform. It's unique. It's an opportunity that has not been there. It's addressing a gap that has been affecting the brain drain of this country. And so if you address that, you give the people who want to go abroad the opportunity to think about it, the trade-off. If they can get the same kind of jobs in the country and still earn the benefit and all of the stuff that will be provided for them when they go out, then that's it. That's something that can not only lower the unemployment rate, it will also lower the underemployment rate because they will get the benefits. and also contribute to the opportunity for more workers to start to think that there is an option rather than going abroad.
Yeah. Okay. Is that also you?
It is. It really is. I mean, I started the company back in 2011, just trying to provide opportunities for my own personal family. They're engineers in Mindanao, and I started the company just trying to get work for them. So I think that providing employment for the Filipino people is really the goal here, growing that middle class. And what I'm confident about through the years of me working with Filipinos is if you put them on a level playing people with the world, they can succeed. And this app, I think, allows them to do that. And what they're doing now is they're considering, do I need to move overseas? Do I need to go to the Middle East? Do I need to go somewhere else to find those opportunities? And so the playing field isn't level. And if they have an opportunity to work here in the Philippines for a good wage in the profession that they're interested in, that they went to school for, that they had their hopes and dreams about, then I think a lot of Filipinos will take that option. I mean, it's a beautiful country, beautiful places, beautiful people, and you're with your family. Why would you want to leave if you have every opportunity here? And then what happens is it's a flywheel effect. You keep the best and the smartest people here in the Philippines. You're not losing them abroad, and then that just compounds. And I think that really will have an amazing effect for the country. And this is not a unique thing. It's happened elsewhere in the world, Taiwan, Singapore, where they've been able to grow their internal economies, where all of a sudden people wanted to stay and support and build that middle class. And I think that's the path we're on here. And I think it's a natural evolution from where we've come. And Tahche, I believe, is at the forefront of that. We're just riding the wave that I think is happening. And hopefully we're an important part of pushing that forward.
That's a great model that you initiated. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the overall role of online job searching platforms and initiatives like Tahche in shaping the modern labor market and the future of work? Prof.
When you are looking for a job here in the Philippines, usually the local governments or the Department of Labor will come up with job fairs where people have to print things and go and line up, when they can already go to an app that provides for all of this information, and also not just the local context, but give them the opportunity to look beyond what the Philippines is offering the world without leaving the Philippines. And so I think this will change the global labor market, that not only the Philippine labor market, but the global labor market. So what Tahche is offering is some kind of a trailblazing introduction of not just the app, but the concept behind it. So the app is just the tool, but the impact that it will create is something that can be, replicated, and it is scalable.
Right.
Tahche provides staffing for U.S. companies, small and medium-sized companies, in a variety of professional areas: engineering, architectural, marketing, legal, software development, really the whole gamut. And the idea is, when I was starting the company, was I didn't want to be another call center. I didn't want to be another VA provider. And there's obviously a need for that, and that's great, and people should do that. But what I did as I was building my teams is I noticed that a lot of the people that worked for us had never worked for American companies before. And it's not because they didn't have the skills, it's because they didn't want to go on Upwork or online jobs.ph, and they didn't want to have a gig job. They wanted a real job. They wanted a job where they had an employment agreement, where they were getting the benefits that they wanted. And so they didn't feel like they had that opportunity. At one point, we surveyed our employees, and 30% of them had previously traveled overseas. And because that's what they thought was the best opportunity for them. And so providing a place where you can get a real legit job here in the Philippines, working for a U.S. company, is an opportunity that wasn't afforded to them in the past. And we're really excited about doing it. I think that other BPO companies and other platforms, they've really looked at trying to sell the Philippines as a cheap option for finding labor. And, maybe the labor is going to be 80% as good, but you're saving money and that's great, right? And they do that by really trying to keep the wages as low as possible. And they're selling them at some number and they're trying to make money on that margin. And we've really tried to shy away from that, and I've rejected it. And what we've done is we've said that we're going to be open and transparent to our clients and our employees. Unlike other BPO companies or other platforms, we're going to tell you all the numbers. We're going to tell you how much the employee, we're going to tell you how much money we're making for the services that we provide, and we're going to have all that transparency there so that you can have employees in the Philippines know how much they're getting paid, maybe give them a raise on a semi-regular basis. You can move them up the ladder, give them more opportunities. You can really kind of grow your team with Tahche. And I don't think you can do that. I mean, my experience with people that have hired people on Upwork or onlinejobs.ph or Freelancer or Indeed is those relationships, because they are so loose and aren't committed, rarely last more than 3 or 4 years. In fact, if you've got somebody from those platforms for more than 4 years, that's a unicorn. It's because you're not building a real office. And so what we do is help our clients build real offices. I tell our clients, we want you to feel like you're building your offshore office in the Philippines. And in doing that, you need to know all the numbers. You need to know how much your employees get paid. You need to be able to give them a raise at once in a while. And you need to be able to build that organizational chart. And I think it's very unique within Tahche that you're able to do that with full transparency so that you can run your company in a way that's profitable and is looking for growth, as opposed to working with a partner on a job platform or with a BPO that's really trying to squeeze your labor force as much as possible to take out as much profit as possible. That's not what we're trying.
Well, that's a very good practice that you do in your company, transparency. And I believe that's a very good principle that you inculcate in the culture in your company. All right. Bryan, how does Tahche embody the spirit of innovation and adaptability within the context of online job platforms?
We really embrace technology and trying to be at the forefront of it, but we want to approach it in a manner that's ethical to not only the employers, but the employees as well. And so we're not trying to create an online platform with millions of users, and we're just going to try and squeeze one end or the other as much as possible. And you see it all the time with ride-hailing apps and food delivery apps and other gig worker type of apps where they get to the point where they get a certain amount of mass, and then they're trying to squeeze that worker for as much as they can so that they can make money on the margin. And the only way they make more money is by squeezing that worker, by paying him less and less for each ride, for each delivery, for everything. And so we reject that option. We want to be working as a partnership with both the employers and the employees so that everyone's working together in full transparency. Everyone knows how much everyone's making. And what we found is that when the clients have full transparency of what the employee is making, and they're able to pay them directly through our app, they end up being much more generous because they know that we're not taking a cut of that, right? We're not taking a cut of that. And so if they know that the money that they're paying towards their employees is 100% going towards their employees, they're much more generous at that. And so we've seen clients that give annual bonuses, even monthly or quarterly bonuses, depending on their success, that have long-standing tenured employees with us that do parties and team building activities and really start building a culture with their employees in the Philippines of a real office. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create an economy where there's real offices here in the Philippines. And it's not just gig work, contract work, where everyone's fighting day to day for their next contract. People should have a real job that they can depend on for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months or years. And that's what we're hoping for.
Okay. Well, Sir Bryan has been highlighting about this, the social safety net that the Filipino workforce really deserve to get. Until now, Professor Ang, can you say that that has been a problem or a challenge in the workforce here in the Philippines? Has it continues to be a problem in our labor force?
Unless you are formally employed, then you are not you are not able to avail of all of these social safety nets that is in terms of healthcare, pension funds, even health insurance, housing loans, etc. These are all only available mostly for formal employees. Of course, you can do it as a self-employed, but that would mean that you have to pay the difference that the employer will pay. Even if you're paid well, but you don't get these benefits, then you don't have the social safety nets.
Right.
You have to pay them on your own.
Right. Okay. All right. Sir Bryan, going back to you, you've mentioned a while ago that you really do provide opportunities for professionals to work for employers abroad, particularly the U.S. market. So kindly explain to us how Tahche supports professionals like engineers, marketers, and nurses in using their qualifications.
What we're trying to do is provide opportunities, connect these professionals with U.S. companies that are looking to hire them. And a lot of these professionals, they've been unable to do that because they're not going to work on these job platforms in a gig type situation. If you're a professional, you're an accountant or you have a law degree or something like that, that's just not what you want to do. And so you're held out of those markets. By working with Tahche, we provide an opportunity so that you can work with overseas companies, with companies in the U.S. and still utilize your degree. In the past, I think a lot of these people thought that they would either have to go overseas, or if they wanted to work with the U.S. company, then they end up in a call center or some other type of BPO company. And so providing opportunities for them to actually do engineering, actually do architectural work, actually do marketing and software development and accounting in a real accounting office, for example, where you've got a lead accountant and junior accountants and trainees maybe underneath them and moving up the ranks and having that legit training and growth experience within a real accounting office is unique, I think, for professionals working with U.S. companies, working with small and medium-sized businesses, U.S., which truthfully accounts for 80% of the businesses in the U.S. Everyone thinks about the big ones, but the small and medium-sized businesses is the bulk of the business. So that's really where the volume is. And so being able to work in an office with 10 other people, 15 other people, that is something that hasn't happened until now.
Sir Bryan, in what ways does Tahche encourage professionals to envision a better future for their careers and personal lives?
We really want to provide opportunities for professionals to work with U.S. companies in their chosen profession. I think in the past, if you're an engineer or an architect or an accountant, you may not have felt there was an opportunity to work with the U.S. company unless you were working for Ernst & Young or one of these huge 10,000 person multinational companies in the Philippines. But small and medium-sized businesses, which really take up 80% of the businesses in the U.S., everyone thinks of the big companies, but it's really the large majority of them are small and medium-sized businesses. They have not had the opportunity to hire these professionals in the Philippines because they don't want to be gig workers. They want to be actual workers. And so Tahche provides an opportunity for them to work in their chosen profession, doing the work that they love. In the past, in the Philippines, you might have thought that if I want to be an engineer, I got to either go overseas and leave my family and do it that way, or I've got to give up on my career and get a job at a call center or do some other work with a BPO company. Tahche wants to change that so you can do your work in your chosen profession with a U.S. company.
Professor Ang, do you think that professionals can really have that option on top of their mind? Because most of the professionals that I know, their first option is really to go abroad. But do you think we can change that mindset among professionals in the Philippines?
Yes, but what is missing there is really the actual opportunity that Tahche is trying to offer right now, because that's a missing part of the market. So the only option is the local jobs that are available here. And then if they look around, the next one is really out there. So Tahche is filling in a gap. So that gap allows you to be here and there at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. Being here and there at the same time. All right, Brian, what steps does Tahche take to establish itself as a trusted partner from both professionals and businesses and ensure transparency throughout the process?
Well, I think the key is transparency. Showing to our clients in the U.S. that your employees in the Philippines are going to be treated properly, that they're going to get health care, that they're going to be in the legit employment roles as a regularized employee in the Philippines. And our clients in the U.S. really appreciate that. They want their employees to be treated well. They do that for their local teams in the U.S. And so they really have been attracted to that. They don't want to work with contractors and gig economy people, but they felt like in the past, that's the only way they can access the Philippines labor force. And we're providing them an opportunity to do it the right way.
And do you think, Professor Ang, we already have that momentum already in terms of having this segment of the labor force, particularly professionals, being employed by a U.S. employer but staying here?
Well, this is something that Tahche is trailblazing, so it can be scalable. And so it's a matter of getting the word out there, people knowing that there is such an opportunity. Most of the challenges basically is that people don't know.
Yeah.
So until they know, this will be easily a word of mouth.
All right. Lastly, gentlemen, in the rapidly evolving technology landscape, how do you plan to adapt and scale the Tahche app to meet changing market dynamics and user demands? This is for you, Sir Brian.
Well, I mean, the technology world changes quickly, and we plan on being on the forefront of that. We're utilizing all the latest technology and creating the app so that the users will have a familiar experience, so that in the back end, they're getting all the benefits that we want, but on the front end and the way they utilize the app, it'll appear very familiar. And we will continue to do that so that they can have the best user experience within that app.
All right. Probably, Professor Ang, with this conversation that we had talking about the landscape of outsourcing industry, we've touched first on BPO, going towards this opportunity that Tahche provides for professionals. What do you look forward in terms of the labor force here in the country, particularly in the outsourcing industry?
Well, actually, all of the opportunities we have given our workers is really the BPO sector, call centers, contact centers in general. But that still doesn't address one of the biggest challenges, that we have many people who graduate in degrees and professions that they studied in, but they're able to practice whatever they have studied, especially here in the Philippines. And so if you really want to get good value for your education, is really to move out of the country. So this is where Tahche comes in, and this is something that people would have to see it as an opportunity moving forward.
Thank you very much, Sir Brian, for shedding light on Tahche's innovative approach, and Professor Ang, of course, for sharing your insights on the outsourcing landscape. It's evident that the outsourcing evolving indeed rapidly, providing new opportunities for both businesses and professionals. And in this ever-changing landscape, Tahche Outsourcing Services Incorporated is certainly changing the game by bridging the gap between skilled talent and global opportunities, all while ensuring transparency, fairness, and respect in the process. As we conclude the discussion, I'd like to invite everyone to stay tuned for the exciting launch of Tahche's very own mobile app, which promises to revolutionize the way we connect professionals with their dream careers and help businesses build outstanding offshore teams. Keep an eye out for this game changer. Thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.